Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on City Manager's Report right here on GovTV. This is your source for some of the most local information that you can get, some news and updates, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for the upcoming week. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. So Mark, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
Great to have you. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics and some of our news and updates for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and then we will return with a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 9th, 2019. So, Mark, first thing that we want to give a little update on, and we've been talking about this for the last, I guess, a couple of months, really, and that is the utility accounting updates. And the utility accounting division has been hard at work over the last few months, not only switching from a quarterly to a monthly billing system, but also a whole new software system. And so the latest thing that they've updated is their software, and it was successful.
Well, the important thing for residents is that we got a lot of demand for the monthly billing, but we also had a big demand for we'd like to be able to get email billings rather than paper mail, and certainly I was one of those people. I thought it was a great idea too. So there was a lot of updates we needed to do with our software to make that happen. So that transition is now complete. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't without challenges, but our folks rose to the occasion, and I really want to thank the public because they were very patient, because there were a lot of people calling really with a lot of the same questions, and we want to make sure that everybody ends the process satisfied, even though it may be a rocky road to get there in the first place.
Right, and so the new bills, I guess some of the changes that you're going to be seeing with the new software is that your paper bill will look a little bit different. First of all, it'll be on a white sheet of paper versus a blue, but you'll notice that there's new customer numbers and account numbers that will be useful if you plan on taking advantage of any of the online tools available.
It's really important. When you call now, you'll be given whatever your new customer number is or your new account number. And then, of course, for the online credit card payments, if you've been doing that already, you'll have to put in brand new information with your, even though it's the same credit card, it's like when your credit card number changes, you got to put everything in. Well, now you have to put your new account number and your new customer number, and you start with creating a citizen self-service account. Once you do that, it pretty much...
Then you're good.
Then you're good. It walks you through it. And if your bank payment information must be updated on your citizen self-service account as well. But once you get it done, you're going to be in good shape. And then, of course, if you already have the ACH withdrawal system, that'll continue. You don't have to make any changes. So certainly encourage people to do that. To me, it's a very convenient way to pay your bill. It's withdrawn on the right date. You just got to make sure the money's there. Right. But other than that, you're in really good shape.
Yes, and then you're always given the email reminder of what's being taken out and everything else. So we really encourage people to take advantage of the ACH or the automatic checking withdrawal system for your utility bills. But if not, definitely create that self-service account. And it's a great tool for you to not only pay your bill, but also track usage, take a look at some of the history there, and a lot of other great services that are offered through that account. So if you have questions, though, we definitely encourage people to call the Utility Accounting Division at 232-5325. They are more than willing to help and definitely can give you your new account numbers if you're having trouble finding that or anything. But definitely a lot of great information out there and help available to people.
I want to repeat the number 232-5325. A lot of our phone number exchanges are 236. This is not one of them, everybody. I've made the mistake too. So look for the 232 exchange on this number for utility billing. So a long history to it. Just remember it, please.
Yes, definitely. So that's the update, the big update for the utilities. Once again, we're thankful to the public for their patience through this transition and our employees as well. Now moving down, we've got some parks updates to give people. First one being a very exciting update. That is the Little Oshkosh Playground. They're in the gist of creating a new playground plan, and we're looking for public input.
We have 5 great candidates for the new design for Little Oshkosh. And we've put them on the Pulco website so you can vote on these. I'm not going to tell you which one's my favorite. That has no bearing on this. Take a look at each of these. Look at them online. Some of them in 3D renderings so you can kind of play around with it a little bit. But we want your input. And pick your favorite one. You're going to be able to do it through the Pulco app, but you can also, if you want to, if you attend Live at the Leach on July 9th, you can vote in person. We're going to have drawings out there. Staff will be there to answer any questions you have. And then you can say, okay, after I've seen all these, I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to tell you which one, but look at those. But Live at the Leach, Tuesday, gates open at 5:30, music plays at 6:30. So get there a little early, take a look at the different options available, and give us your input. And we're going to present that to the Parks Board, and the Parks Board is definitely going to look at what people think about this before they make a final decision.
The parks have a lot of projects going on, and this is a big one. So many people absolutely love Little Oshkosh and have such a history with it. So it's a far-reaching park. The whole community uses it. So we're looking for everyone in Oshkosh to kind of give us their input on what they'd like to see and share what their favorite option would be. Obviously, changes can take place with, some of the small details within these playgrounds, but for the majority, this is a great opportunity to help us pick our new playground.
So thanks in advance for participating, and we look forward to seeing the results. And maybe you come to Live at the Leach on Tuesday and have more fun with it.
Definitely. Keep it on the parks updates here. We've got Lakeshore Park joint meeting coming up on July 8th at 6 p.m. at the Oshkosh Convention Center. And we just want to remind people that meeting's coming up. It's a joint meeting, so it's going to be the Parks Board, the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, and the Sustainability Advisory Board. This
will be the first opportunity for the 3 boards together to discuss it, and there's always public input at these things. This isn't technically the formal public input session, but we do have a period for public input, so absolutely come along. And then as things get a little tighter in terms of the recommendations, because the Advisory Park Board meeting on August 12th, they're going to be presented up to 3 conceptual design alternatives. So you'll be able to see how it's been further narrowed down. And then subsequent meetings in September where the Park Board will pick a preferred plan, present that to the Plan Commission, and then ultimately the Common Council. So the whole idea is to go through this process, learn about it, and give us your input. We're really looking forward to that.
Definitely. It seems like the process is going pretty smoothly so far, and like you said, we still encourage public input all the way through all these meetings. You can find the full schedule on the city website. There's a Lakeshore Park master plan link under the Parks Department's website on the city website. So that's kind of a hub of information if you want to look back on old or past presentations that have been made, look at some of the minutes from the old meetings. You can find it all right there at the Lakeshore Park link on the city website. And then finally, Mark, we're going to continue on with our parks-themed first half here and talk about Food Truck Friday. Last Friday, absolutely huge turnout for the first Food Truck Friday of the year.
Food trucks are so in these days, and the Friends of the Senior Center is taking advantage of that and have a bunch of food trucks coming on Friday with a little bit of entertainment. So we just want to remind people, the next 2 upcoming Food Truck Fridays are July 19th and then August 16th. Live music, you can get drinks there as well. There's raffles, and it's all to benefit the proceeds of it. Go to benefit the Friends of the Oshkosh Senior Center, and they do things to help do little improvements at the Senior Center, so we certainly appreciate the work that they do. But it is a wonderful community event. Encourage people to come. It's just a lot of fun, but just be prepared to wait in line a little.
Yeah, so the advice is to come early and get there before everyone else and get your pick before the lines start.
Absolutely, and then you want to get in line for seconds on something too.
Exactly, yes, and take advantage of South Park. It's such a great opportunity to enjoy the new updates that have taken place out there too. So really happy that Food Truck Friday season is here, and we encourage you to check it out at the next couple of ones coming up. So now it's that time of the show where viewers have the opportunity to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening right here in the city of Oshkosh. It's Question Mark. So let's go ahead and see what the question is this week. Great. right, so question is, what is that new building going up by the EAA grounds? Great question.
It is. In fact, we've had so many good questions recently, we had to hold back on this one. And fortunately, there's a sign up on the wall that kind of answers the question. But it actually has nothing to do with EAA at all. All Rose Steel is a local company that is over on South Main Street by 10th Avenue, and they are expanding, doing very well. They have sites elsewhere in the state and in other states, but they wanted a place closer to Highway 41 where they could get their product out to market quicker, and they identified a location out here on Poberezny Road near Ripple Road. And now you can see that there finally is a sign up there. It says now hiring, but at least it says All Rose Steel. So we're real happy that they've chosen to expand here in town. And they're just going gangbusters. But technically that area on that side is zoned for industrial purposes, but no one's really taken a chance out there. The Fox Valley Tech has their welding center out there, and the Military Veterans Museum is out there, but this is the first business per se that's going out there. So we're real excited that they're there, and we look forward to them finishing up and putting a sign up that people can read from the road. And so I'll quit getting asked that question because it's big on it.
And from Highway 41, it's very visible, and I think that's where the majority of the questions came from, is people driving into town or out of town, seeing it out there. And it's very close to EAA, and so it's a natural instinct to say, what's that new building from EAA? So it's a great question this week, and a lot of people talking about it on Facebook and otherwise, so great.
So pass the word out to everybody because we know it's getting asked. Get the word out.
Yes, definitely. Great question this week. We're always looking for more questions to answer on City Manager's Report. So if you've got one of your own, send it to Mark. You can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on the Oshkosh Media Facebook wall, or go ahead and email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode. So we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we will dive into the Common Council meeting agenda highlights for this coming meeting on Tuesday, July 9th. We'll be right back.
Installed in 1982, the Menominee Express was operated by DEG Enterprises of Neenah. The City of Oshkosh Parks Department took over operations in 2002. The train operates during the summer season and is very popular with roughly 25,000 riders per year. The train consists of the 25-horsepower gas engine, operated by summer staff, and 2 passenger cars with 6 seats each. Pick up your tickets at the Children's Amusement Area concession stand at Menominee Park and hop on the train at the depot on the opposite side of the building. Leaving the depot, the train begins its 11-minute journey by crossing the bridge and swinging around to the far side of the lagoon before looping back towards the depot. If you hear the train crossing signal near the entrance to the Children's Amusement Area, that tells you the train is passing through on the way to the tunnel and then back to the depot where passengers disembark. The Menominee Express has been entertaining passengers for more than 3 decades, and you can help us make sure it continues to do so. Every year, the engine's torque converter and transmission have to be serviced. Wheels have to be rebuilt, and worn tracks need replacing. For more info on how you can help fund these annual maintenance costs, call the Oshkosh Parks Department at 920-236-5080. If you've never ridden the Menominee Express before, stop out and see why so many people enjoy this Oshkosh icon every year.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're at the second half of the show where we like to dive into the Common Council meeting agenda highlights for Tuesday, July 9th, 2019. So Mark, the first highlight that we want to take a look at under consent agenda is the Jeld-Wen-Stringham watershed outfall reconstruction. This is the award for the bid for that. Just over $2 million, or actually almost $3 million here we're looking at. So tell us a little bit about this one and the work that's being done here.
This is a big project. Stringham Creek is the watershed that actually goes through South Park that we just talked about and goes all the way back out towards past Highway 41, out towards the Outlet Mall. It's a huge watershed, and we did some great public improvements at South Park to hold back the water, but once we get through that area, after that we need to get it down to the river, to the Fox River as quickly as possible, and a lot of the pipes down near the river are undersized. So this is upgrading that and putting it through what is commonly known as the Jeld-Wen area. Now people call it the Morgan District, but it's in this general area that the outfall will go. But you can see we're near Ohio and 5th Avenue, and back in 2008 there were a lot of floods over there, and what this is, this gets that outfall to get the water out quicker, so it'll improve the chances of minimizing flooding in that area. So that's really why the outfall needs to get constructed. So we really appreciate the cooperation of the Morgan partners who helped us with an easement to get that through that area. And at nearly $3 million, that is going to be one big pipe, but it's going to basically get water out to the river a lot quicker, and it's going to benefit stormwater management in this immediate vicinity. Huge
stormwater project, and like you said, the biggest thing is minimizing flooding, and that's going to make a major change in this area. So glad to hear that, and a positive item on the agenda here. Moving down a couple items, we've got the approving the CIP amendment and award bid for the Public Works contract. This is for CP Avenue parking lot reconstruction and fencing for the police department parking lot. Now, tell us a little bit about this item. It's about $1 million, and we've got some video that explains why this is so needed.
The lion's share of this contract is for the CP Avenue
Yes.
lot. This is the one immediately adjacent to Fire Station 15, our fire department headquarters, and immediately across the street from the convention center. So you can just see that this is a tired old lot. Unfortunately, because of the soil that's out there, this is historically some very unstable soil. So making sure that we have good fill underneath it, that's why this is so expensive. This isn't just putting some asphalt out there. This is undercutting it, getting rid of some junky stuff that makes it sink, and you can see so many areas have sunken over the years. So that's really why we're doing this, and long overdue. And for people who go to Waterfest or go to Live at the Leach or 4th of July, as we've been talking about, anything that we can do to make this a better parking lot, and it's certainly for our convention center goers, visitors, we want to set a good impression. But this lot has been in rough shape, and I'm sure plenty of people have told you stories about them hitting potholes in this parking lot. We need to get rid of that.
Yes, we are ready for the updates. So thank you for the background on that, Mark. Looking forward to it. Moving down, we've got 3 items all related to each other. One is the approval for the developers agreement. One is the approval of the waiver of special assessment notices in the hearing, and then the final resolution. This is for the North Keller Street, North Westfield Street, and Oshkosh Avenue project. So maybe first kind of just give us an overview. What's going on over here?
If you recall, there was a lot of infrastructure that we needed to put in for Oshkosh Corporation. But at the same time, we knew that a lot of the property owners in that immediate area would see an opportunity for development opportunities for themselves. And so they approached us about things that they would also like to see that we didn't necessarily need for Oshkosh Corporation, but we needed for that immediate area. So we've been spending the last few months taking a look at the relative costs and negotiating what portion would be appropriate for them to pay of this. And about 15% of all the construction costs for this immediate area are appropriately charged to these developers. So this video has taken us north on Keller, and then Keller kind of makes a turn to the east and goes east-west for a while before we hit what's going to be now known as a private road, which is four-wheel drive, which is the Oshkosh Corporation Street. And then once we make this curve over here, then you're back on Westfield, which takes you out to where The new Casey's General Store is going to be built at the corner of Westfield and Oshkosh Avenue. And then eventually it's going to be all the way back to Oshkosh Avenue. So it really provides a full circle. The buildings that are on the right, as you were going on this video, there's a proposed hotel. There's some other areas. This will enable those businesses to access off of Westfield and Keller rather than going on to Oshkosh Avenue. We want to minimize the number of access points along Oshkosh Avenue. This enables us to do just that. So you can see there'll be a lot of access points here along Keller that people will be able to access. And then also adjacent to the north is Lakeshore Park. And eventually, whatever amenities that the Parks Board and Council ultimately decide, you're going to see that there too. So the city is picking up some costs as well because that's appropriate. But you can see that there's a lot of activity going out there. These roads are almost complete. We've got some new signals to put in, but this group is going to be paying for its share of these improvements, and that's certainly going to benefit them and going to benefit the city.
Definitely. A lot going on out there, and this video really helps to kind of show us what exactly we're looking at. So thanks to Scott for getting out and getting that, and thank you, Mark, for the overview of what we're going to be looking at out in that area. A lot happening, so it's always good to see. Moving down, we've got, we skip over quite a few items. The next big one that we want to talk about is creating the Chapter 21 of the Oshkosh Municipal Code pertaining to public construction and services. The biggest thing is this is dealing with the transportation utility fee and stormwater management. There's a lot in this item. I won't read the whole thing, but biggest thing, buzzword, is transportation utility fee.
Well, this is really all about developing an alternative to special assessments. If you've been subject to special assessments, you know the massive bill that you receive, whether you're a resident, property owner, or a small business, or even a large business. Council has been looking at this item for years. What alternative can we look at versus special assessments? And we've been observing what some other communities have been doing. Some communities have been able to avoid special assessments altogether, and that's great. But other communities have been using that in lieu of taxing. But it's not real popular these days, and cities of Green Bay and Appleton and Neenah have all done away with their special assessments for street reconstruction and replaced them with an alternative fee. In the case of Appleton and Green Bay, they replaced it with a vehicle registration fee, commonly known as a wheel tax. Neenah did something a little different. They called it a transportation assessment replacement. So they basically said, this is about replacing assessments. We took a look at the different models out there, and we're kind of leaning towards a model that is more like Neenah's. But the idea is that an assessment for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. There was a resident who came and spoke to our long-range finance committee. This resident lives on a corner. Just the long side of the street was ultimately an $18,000 special assessment. So I think the council and the long-range finance committee said, we need to look at alternatives. Right. And they've been discussing this for the better part of a year.
It's been a long discussion, yes, and we're kind of nearing a point where a selection is being made. So maybe walk us through why the selection of a transportation fee over these other options, over an assessment or over a wheel tax. To walk us through the pros and cons of what the transportation fee is going to look like.
Well, we took a look at it, and I've got a summary of some of the criteria that we looked at, but we looked at probably 24 different ideas, and there are probably about 9 that we can show here on this graphic. But what we did was we said, look, you've got special assessments is the current status versus the vehicle registration fee, which a lot of people think, oh, that might be a great idea, but there's some unfairness to a vehicle registration fee that's built in, and that's governed by state law, so we don't have a lot of flexibility to change that. And then there's a transportation fee, which frankly is a very new concept in Wisconsin, and it's used elsewhere in the country, but not many places in Wisconsin. But as you can see, things like out-of-town students, with a vehicle registration fee, all they need to do is register at mom and dad's house so they don't have to pay the fee. Residents would have to pay that. Visitors and customers wouldn't be paying for that. But through special assessments or a transportation fee, they do indirectly pay for it because they're paying the business and the business ends up paying.
Yep.
So if it can get indirectly charged, there's still a value to doing that. Businesses that have multiple jurisdictions, they could move the location of their vehicle for registration purposes, and they could avoid paying that. So that's why
some of the workarounds.
The workarounds are so very obvious with a vehicle registration fee that they're really unfair to residents of the city. Tax-exempt properties, that's one of the reasons that we've done special assessments all along. And so we're looking for reasons that we can continue to do that, because tax-exempt properties and even governmental entities, every city has a city and there's a county, but we have a large concentration with the school district and Fox Valley Tech, UW Oshkosh, the prison. There's a lot of governmental entities with a vehicle registration fee. Governmental entities don't pay vehicle registration fees, so they wouldn't pay anything. But they currently pay special assessments. They could do a transportation fee. And then we've taken a look at it, and I encourage everybody, whether you're a business or a resident, over the long term, this is going to cost you less over an extended period of time. With special assessments, you get hit with one big amount. You can't spread that out over a period of time. Now, in all defense of the vehicle registration fee, that offers the same advantage. But there's some other disadvantages with the vehicle registration fee. So that's why we took a look at those types of things.
Yep.
Vehicle registration fee, vehicles over 8,000 pounds are exempt. So the vehicle registration fee isn't going to cover the very vehicles that cause the most damage.
Yeah.
A single passenger vehicle, you have the damage that 1,000 vehicles is equivalent to one semi-truck.
Really?
So it's just phenomenal. People don't realize that, but scientific proof is that those small cars don't do the damage, but the big vehicles do. So to exempt the large vehicles, and again, the state directs how a vehicle registration fee is done, so it's patently unfair to small businesses and to other people. So now, one of the things we took a look at with the transportation fee, because it's more locally done, we can put a cap for larger properties, recognizing that the method that we're using, there may be some value to putting a cap on that, because there's a limit about, even with a lot of the trucks and everything, there's a limit. So there's no cap of the vehicle registration fee. There is a cap of the transportation fee. And then finally, whether it's a vehicle registration fee or a transportation fee, we believe very strongly that it's much more affordable for residents and small businesses, particularly in the long run, because you'll be paying over a long period of time. Somebody referred to the vehicle registration fee as kind of an insurance policy against special assessments. And if you look at it that way, and you take a look at your cost of what you would pay potentially for special assessments versus what you pay for $4.50 a month, even if it's multiplied by the number of by the developed area you have, you're going to find that the vehicle registration fee is a much more cost-effective alternative that you'll pay slowly over a number of years. So we think it's just a better alternative.
Definitely. And there's a lot of information out there too. We had a workshop a week ago with the information about how the transportation fee would work, how you can break down what you're going to pay and figure how that's going to affect you as well, compare it to what it could be, and then figuring how that is beneficial too. Who pays? What's the cutoff? So maybe any other details you want to squeeze in here, Mark, before we move on to our final item?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I would look at the presentation and see what we have, and I think you're going to see it's a much better value for us.
Sure, definitely. So definitely check that out. And then really quickly, we want to talk about the last item under new resolutions, approving the Great Neighborhoods Capital Improvement Programs funding. Take it away, Mark.
This is part of our program that works with neighborhood associations, and I just want to highlight some of them because they're mostly parks. Our Parks Department works very closely, but Congress Avenue Tot Lot over in the Congress Field neighborhood, it's a $200,000 expenditure to redo that lot. Very good investment. William Waters Plaza, still working with our River East neighborhood. Architectural designs for a gazebo that's been planned for that area. outdoor exercise equipment for adults near Little Oshkosh. So while the kids play, you can do a little exercise. Thank you to the Menominee South Neighborhood Association for helping us with that. And then finally, Rainbow Memorial Park, the trail extension from Oshkosh Corporation, the neighbors there, and even though there's not a neighborhood association, the neighbors would really like to see that extension.
All really positive projects that we're really excited to see, so we're happy to see this on the agenda. And thanks for the really quick rundown of that too, Mark.
Okay.
So we are out of time here on CMR. With that, I'd like to thank you, Mark, for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, July 9th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for all of the community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel as well. And then, of course, if you have a question, send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, or email, and Mark will answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, thanks so much for joining us here on CMR, and we'll see you next time.